We are here at the TulipDAO. I am trading tulips, and this is our 10th Investors AMA with the Hamsters of the Opera. They are a unique tomb fork coming to Phantom, and they have some integrations with GameFi and some NFTs as well. Welcome, Dr. Hamster. Could you please introduce your project and tell us about yourself and your team a little bit?
Yes, thank you very much. So I'm Dr. Hamster. I'm heading a team of developers. The team is coming from enterprise development background, all masters of science in computer science. Some of them are mathematicians. We worked on sort of major enterprise blockchain projects before and decided to try development of a tomb fork. We quickly realized that just the tomb fork is not sufficient because you need to provide some utility for the token. So we started to look around, what else can we do with this? And we looked at Wizards and Dragons game, which is very popular. So we decided to fork that as well and create token utility by providing mints of the, in our case, is Hamsters and Owls, the game of NFTs using the token, as well as we're also integrating our own NFT marketplace where all the secondary trades for the NFTs will be done using the Ham token as well, which is the Tomb Fork Pack token. So in essence, that's the beginning of this little ecosystem that has a Tomb Fork that generates the token and immediate token utility with the game and the marketplace that sells the game NFTs. We are ready right now. We passed the audit for the Tomb Fork itself. The audit for the game starts very soon. Tomorrow, it's already on the test net. The NFT art has been created, all the trades and everything. The interface is basically everything is ready. So we're planning to launch game in about a week time from tomorrow, just maybe on the same day that the boardroom opened. By doing that, we aim to provide immediate demand for the token outside just speculation and just expansion that the regular Tomb Fork provides. So that's the project. We have, I think, about 5 developers, a UI UX designer, NFT artists, as well as some quality assurance and project management within our team. So it's a relatively large team. So that's the project. And we came, here for the advice because we are good developers, but we want to see how those projects play out and gather as much advice as possible. We talked to many people regarding the Tomb Forks and how they play out best. You guys gave us the best possible advice on how to proceed. At least that's what we think. And we're hoping to collaborate further and make it a successful project.
Excellent. Yeah. I know that everybody here, has been impressed with the level of development skills and the speed in which you guys, produce results after we chatted and you guys were looking for solutions before you even did anything. And I think that was a huge indicator for us that this was going to be a much different fork. Like, we've traded 40, some guys in here probably traded 100 tomb forks. We know how these things work and we know what makes them maintain. And the fact that you came here said a lot to us, so bullish indicators all over. I'm really excited to see what you guys provide and what you guys bring to the table. I don't know too much about the Wizards and Dragons game. That's the one part of this equation that I don't know the most. I don't know too much about. Can you elaborate on Hamsters and the Hamsters and Owls game and how that's going to be playing into the ecosystem?
Well, the first act of the game is when you generate the NFTs and it's generated on the random basis. There are 2 types of NFTs with the different sets of traits. There is a staking mechanism and there's a gamified mechanism whereby when you get an owl NFT, it could steal your assets if your hamster NFTs. Also, various other elements of it. In essence, it's a financial GameFi game based around NFTs and staking. Then you could trade for example, if you get a rare, because they're randomized at the mint, you could get a very rare type of NFTs with the rare traits. You'll be able to trade them at the built-in marketplace, and therefore generating some profit. There is also an in-game token as well, which is used for staking. It's fully mintable and burnable. It's called the gem in our case. It's used for the internal game mechanics, but secondary sales and some of the waves of the initial mint will be done using the Ham token. So our main, we also want to mint initially some rare NFTs and put them up for bonds. So in essence, it's like a second layer security for the Tomb Fork. If it goes under the peg, those rare NFTs will become available for sale.
Great. Yeah. I had some questions about this. So when you, let's say, go below peg, what's going to incentivize people to use that bonded NFT? Is that going to be earning increased yields? How is that working?
Oh, it's more rare, and we will develop what you're saying a bit later in terms of having a bonded NFTs. It will require much more deep, sort of extensive changes to the code that we have right now. So at the moment, we just want to put because the NFT marketplace that will be deployed as part of the game only sells NFTs for bonds and you could only trade NFTs for bonds and for the Ham token. So we just, before we pass on the minting contract into the game itself, we'll be able to actually, by trying different combinations of the randomizer, to generate a few owl NFTs, which are much more rare than hamster NFTs. And we could put them up and only on the marketplace and only provide them for only sell them for bonds initially. So they only will become available once the bonds are available. And since they're more rare and they provide more benefits within the game itself, they're basically wizards and dragons, the equivalent of dragons. And dragons are way more expensive than wizards. So that provides a layer of security. So let's say out of 6,000 possible owls within the game, we will mint hundreds of them before we pass on the rights to the minter to the actual game before we deploy, and put them up for bonds. And this is a second layer defense. So that means if the fork goes below peg, then those owls, you could just get bonds and buy them, and then the bonds become part of the treasury of the game. And also all the commissions and all of those sort of transactions, they're also taxable in Ham token when you trade your NFTs, and that token will be also depending on the conditions either burned or just exchanged for bonds. So the game is there to support the Tomb Fork, and we're planning to extend this capability and create more financial type of NFTs as well, since we have the market that allows you to trade any NFTs if they're for bonds and Ham token.
Right.
So
any plans for like an NFT marketplace integration, or are you just going to focus on your own marketplace?
Well, we looked at Arshan NFT marketplace, but we didn't like it, to be honest. And we thought we'd rather build our own. We have extensive experience in building NFT marketplaces. So we have all the necessary skill to build this, and we could do pretty much whatever we like with this. So we're probably going to concentrate on our own marketplace first, and then potentially we'll see how it goes. If there is any benefits actually integrating with other marketplaces, we'll do that. But the aim of this whole exercise is to increase the utility of the Ham token and provide a safety net for the bonding if it goes below the peg. We could do a number of things later on. We could, for example, implement rarity tools on our own marketplace, or then we could create a widget for rarity tools and charge a little bit of Ham for onboarding, on this version of Priority Tools and so on. So the plan is just to expand Ham token utility by providing different services to the Phantom network community.
Right. Well, the reason I even said anything was because I was going to say hosting your own marketplace and directing all the volume there allows you to allow mechanics like burning ham tokens when people, purchase through the marketplace. And that creates a nice deflationary mechanism when you're below peg, and you could change that to go to the treasury or something when it's above peg, or depending on how you have it set up. I was just thinking that would be a really strong move.
That's the idea. So the way it's set up now is that there will be a wallet, multi-sig wallet, where the ham token goes. But this particular parameter is changeable within the game. And once we deploy the necessary logic on the contracts, we will be able to actually, because I believe that whatever we come up with now, it will be just an assumption that needs to be tested. Right, so best is actually to test the assumption in a more or less manual mode, and then once we figure out what's the best way to proceed with those revenues from the ham token that the marketplace generates, we will actually come up with the algorithm that serves the needs of the ecosystem best.
Tulip,
hey,
Yes.
I think he said they already have their own marketplace where all the volume will go around.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, I understand. Yeah. I was just saying, what I was asking was if you plan to integrate or have any partnerships with somebody like NFT Key or PaintSwap, But I was going to recommend that you try to direct all the volume there, and then you can, have full control of that stuff. But it sounds like you're already doing it, and that's awesome.
Yeah. No. It's just the marketplace is one of the key things that we put a lot of development time in, and this is one of the. This is the technology reason, because we wanted to make sure that this particular component is complete by the time the boardroom opens, or maybe a couple of days within that range. That was the reason for the initial delay, because we thought otherwise, we can't drop the ball, because these things could go really quickly, could go south very quickly if there is no utility for the token.
Right.
About the gamified part, just a little bit deeper. Are you going to be using the ham token for the initial mints, or is that going to be Phantom? I assume later generations will be that gem token you mentioned, but initially?
Yes. So the plan at the moment is that we will use, for the first mint, we will use just Phantom, and for the second mint, we will use ham token, and for the third mint, probably as well, the ham token. And later on, we'll just use the gem token for after the initial mints are complete.
Gotcha. How many are in each generation then in this game?
I need to check this number, but we actually doing it a straight fork from Wizards and Dragons. So we use the same numbers because it's a successful model. We took this model, what we did actually, so we did a couple of things. We came up with a way to actually store data in vector formats within the NFT itself. So when NFT is generated, it just looks, it just scales up without any pixelation. Right, so it's always a smooth kind of a picture on any size monitor. So that's one of the things we did. And the other thing is we created a true random mechanism that generates random NFTs and is fully open for everybody to view. That is something that wasn't really present on the contracts that we saw originally. So we just made sure that everything is random, properly random.
For sure. So if it mirrors the demon game, is it 10% chance to get an owl, 10% chance that a mint is stolen, stuff like that? I think those were the numbers. Got it.
Yeah,
Cool.
it's exactly the same, because we thought, it's a very much working model, right? It imposes interesting limitations because it doesn't use NFT storage. Each element should not be more of the NFT straight, cannot be more than 8 kilobytes. So we ended up just creating those SVG models that I'm just particularly proud of this particular aspect, that we managed to create scalable vector NFTs.
Very cool, man. That's dope.
I have some questions around the Genesis plus the whitelist. Could you just go into more detail about how that money is being allocated and how you think human growth is going to affect the protocol?
Well, the ultimate goal of the whitelisting and the sort of the private sale is to generate as much liquidity as possible. Therefore, under certain conditions, we actually do a private sale whereby we take your phantom and then we use it all to create the liquidity pair, and then we just hand it back proportional to the investment. On the condition that it needs to go 7x, and you only, after the 7x, between 7x and 10x liquidity-wise, you shouldn't take more than 50% of profit, and later on it's free for all. These are the conditions simply to make sure that people don't get this LP and then just break it and sell it immediately, dumping on everybody else. This is all based on trust. This is why we're going to communities with those kind of private sale proposals. But we are not keeping any of that ourselves because we think stronger liquidity from the start benefits the protocol and gives the best possible chance of successful continuation of the project. And that was the aim behind this.
So I think I'm planning on participating in both, but I feel like people that partake in the Genesis pool might just want to dump on the LP holders. And are you going to start the LP at higher than peg? Or how is that going to play out?
No, LP is going to start at peg, and the Genesis pool is relatively small in size. I just need to check the documents, but it's relatively small, and relative to the size of the pool is much smaller. And everybody's, as far as I understand, people are more interested in continuing and actually creating the LPs and depositing them into the boardroom, you know, as the game theory goes. Because usually the problem is something else. The actual peg goes up to like 100x, and then people, you know, start to pile in because the numbers that the actual interface shows, they're just astronomical, like 1,000% a day, simply because it's based on the time-weighted average pricing of the pair. So once that happens, people start to pile in, and people who actually, when the liquidity was low, managed to increase the price to a ridiculous number, which could be up to 100x. Then they dump on people who piled in later on, you know, because they were attracted by those high values, APR values. So from what I've seen, this is the biggest danger to the protocol. It's actually bigger than just if it's that's what people do, at least in my experience. I mean, I'm not sure, maybe you have some other opinion, but as I said, the Genesis pool is relatively small comparing to the whitelist and to the private sale.
Yeah,
I like that. That makes sense.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Deej, what I would expect from a tokenomics standpoint, and even if it does fall below peg a little bit, you know, with what we know, there should be a lot of money on the sidelines waiting to scoop that up and create cheap LPs, because that's the way to make money in these things. And if you can get into a solid fork below peg and, you know, be in the LP as it's on its way up before the LPs launch, you know, you beat the crowd essentially. So those types of opportunities are good. They provide you know, profit points, and they provide entries for intelligent investors like us. So I mean, I think that is totally okay starting at peg, even if, you know, the dumb apes want to farm and dump down below peg. Sure, you know, let it happen, let the market play out. I think it's going to work in the benefit of the protocol in this case. That's just my 2 cents, but I like it.
Yeah, I like it too. The fact that it's way smaller in comparison is a big detail.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody remembers Scarab started, what was it, 1-to-1 or 2-to-1, and then it did go down. It went to 5, and then it went to 5-to-1, and then it went back down, like tapped peg, or like went just above peg, and then it went all the way up. So I think 15 or something after that. But, you know, it's just that those types of opportunities create entry points for people, and I believe it's healthy, especially if the team is trusted and and making the right moves, that's huge. So very cool. Does anybody else have a question?
I wanted to ask more specifically, you touched on any NFT being able to be bought and sold with the Ham token. Can you elaborate a little bit more on that?
Well, the initial, because we were going to have our own marketplace, initially is going to be set just to use the NFTs minted by the game. However, we are planning to expand functionality, and one of the things that we want to do is rarity tools, because we encountered that protocol before. We have the knowledge of the code and how it works, and we have this idea to implement it within our own marketplace so that the users can see how rare the NFT that they have, so they can sell it. But then maybe we will expand this functionality to many more. Just as a standalone product, and onboarding could be done relatively cheaply and for Ham token.
I think onboarding other artists as just a side and then being able to also benefit the protocol would be great. A lot of new starting NFT artists, if you could kind of vet them yourself, but still they have trouble getting into the scene, starting their own contract. So if you provide that kind of leeway in, then they could provide that volume towards the Ham token and be a good beneficial relationship both sides.
Well, we can do pretty much anything we want in terms of the technology and development. We have a very capable team, but we are trying to stay nimble right now. So we're trying to do what we think will give us the best way to test the assumptions that we currently have. And later on, we will start expanding what we can do by looking at what's going on. If there is an interest by artists, then yes. But what I had in mind was more like just a standalone rarity tools instrument that people can use.
Awesome. Let's run through a couple community questions here. See if we got Hot Sauce the Critic. He's not here. He happened to miss this one.
Maybe the launch sequence, like what's gonna happen in the next days, how is everything gonna break, when Genesis pools, when starts boardroom and all that stuff.
Well, sure. Just we're actually going to update. We have this section in our documents called the launch sequence. We just need to update the dates because it's still the old date. So as soon as the code is deployed, we're going to do the KYC just to assure the public and that we are a fully legitimate team. Unfortunately, KYC can only be performed on live contracts because you prove the ownership of the contract. So that's on day one. Then that's tomorrow. We deploy everything and start creating the LPs. That should be a one process. There are lots of sniping bots that go for the liquidity straight away. They're trying to buy the token, create LPs, and add them back into the pool, jacking up the price. So this is why we want to wrap up the private sale before then. So tomorrow at 7 o'clock UCT, the Genesis pool starts. It will last for 48 hours. Bloom, Scarab, Slurp will be accepted there, as well as FTM and USDC. But FTM and USDC will be taxed. There will be a 1% tax on those two. And after 48 hours, the Genesis pool will end. And we will launch a Ham pool, but it will be a very small pool, just 5,000 Ham tokens distributed. And the day after that, the usual 365-day H-share FTM and Ham FTM pools will open. And then in 5 days' time, the boardroom opens and the game will be launched around that time. So I expect probably the next day after the boardroom. So the Genesis mint will start once people accumulated a little bit of Ham token.
Any idea on the schedule? We've seen a lot of projects just completely burn out because they had mishandled their scheduling. What does your schedule look like for, let's say, how long is the Genesis going to run? And then how long until the LP launches? Is the Genesis going to be fully distributed before the LP launches? Are you launching both LPs simultaneously? Could you run through that stuff?
Sure. So we are going to create the LP before the Genesis pool using the private sale proceeds and white loose proceeds. So the pair is going to be because if you do it, this is the way the launch sequence work for Zoom Forex. Before you could move to the next step and renounce ownership of the token and pass on the operator rights, you need to create all the pairs. We will just create a very limited number of H share tokens, simply because as soon as they're being generated, the price tends to be evened out. So that's the plan that we have right now. So the Genesis pool will last for 48 hours. And then after the Genesis pool, there will be a 24-hour Ham pool, which is very small because we provide most of the liquidity from private sales. So Ham pool works in a way that you just deposit the LP into the Ham pool and you receive the Ham token by doing that. But that's after the Genesis. And after this, the other two pools will open, which is those 1 year long pools for the H share and the Ham token that will work during the distribution phase of the token. The boardroom opens in 5 days, just in essence, 1 day after the pools open.
Okay. One thing
I have no idea about this, but wouldn't it be better for all those people who got into pre-sale to have that ham pool where you can deposit those LPs to earn more ham, to have it like together with the gen pools?
I think he just said that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, we could do that. We could do that as well. Again, we could adjust that at the launch sequence, which we will finalize tomorrow.
Having the LPs available in the gen pools would provide the LPers with, a little bit more kickback in case they do incur some losses.
Okay.
That would be an interesting thing. And I've seen protocols do that, and it seems to me that it strengthens the performance of the PEG token prior to launch. Another thing I would like to say is we have had major issues with a lot of tokens with unknown teams. Not saying that this is going to be an issue with you guys, but there is major manipulation with the share token and the first epoch. Because no share tokens are emitted prior to the first epoch generally. We see devs botting their own launch of the share token, getting 0.99 tokens and putting it in for the first epoch. Or just keeping 0.99 tokens and then putting 0.01 into the liquidity pool and then, basically centralizing the first epoch for the quote unquote treasury, etc. The other thing I hate to see is one token launched, it gets sniped by some, random neckbeard on the Pair Explorer who sees it launch, and he centralizes it with 20 Phantom, and this guy he's gonna wreck your first epoch and dump the entire thing on your pools. So it's a really unhealthy mechanism. So something I would like to see is you guys minting more than one token and adding a little bit more of liquidity, somehow, whether you have, through NFTs or whatever, but I feel it would really stabilize the beginning price action on that share token and give people a better entry, as far as jumping into that. Because the major issues in the beginning of those share token launches is you see 2,000 daily APR, but the price on the token is $500,000, and if you buy one, you're going to guaranteed be wrecked, right? So nobody wants to jump in. People farm the PEG token LP and they dunk the price down. Yeah, great, but there's still those people chasing the APR, getting themselves wrecked. It's just a healthier mechanism when it starts with the price low.
Well,
and if there's anything you can do to
yes,
help.
Yes, there is a way. So, for example, after the Genesis pool, if you open, for example, the Genesis pool, right, you drop the Ham pool, the small one, right? We can just drop it, right? Because people get the Genesis tokens, and at the same time we open those 365-day, because the reason why they schedule sort of back is because there is no LP, but we're gonna have the LP, right? So if you open at the same time H-share FTM, the farms that actually give you H-share as well, Ham FTM farm that gives you H-share, together with Genesis, that could work.
Yeah, it definitely could. I'm just providing the problems because this is what we see, and we would hate to see this, your guys' share token just start off bad. It gives you guys that you always end up with those 5 or 10 dudes in general chat who are like complaining and just bringing down the mood and stuff. And it's just, the healthier you guys can have your launch be, the better it's just going to be for everything. Only up linear growth is what you want for the beginning, and it's totally possible if things go smooth. We've seen it. So presenting that.
Interesting. So we could do two things. First, we could just basically provide more liquidity on the H-share FTM pair, so it's more difficult to manipulate. And the other thing we could do, we could open the Ham FTM pool that gives H-share together with the Genesis pool.
Do you mean H-share FTM pool to
earn
H-share?
No, Ham FTM pool that earns H-share.
But you want more H-share liquidity, right?
No, but you need to have some H-share circulating before you could have the H-share.
Correct.
So
two things. Dubwise is talking about the problem of the price getting inflated before the first epoch. Hamster is referring to diluting the supply of the share token so that it doesn't get sniped by one dude. We need both things solved if possible. And
everything's possible, right? That's why we're here. We know our limitations in terms of our knowledge, and this is why we are talking to guys as knowledgeable as you.
Oh, of course. No, I think it's great that you guys are so open to ideas and stuff, and we want to see this do well. And we know the caliber of your guys' development team. We know what you guys are capable of, and hopefully, you guys could answer some of the hard questions when it comes to these tomb forks and what it takes. So, sustainability is a real issue here. So we're hoping that you guys can provide some unique solutions. Maybe the marketplace and the burning of the tokens is really gonna change things. There's also the ability to pivot and do something new and integrate something else that's going to really change things. And that's what I think is the most bullish thing here, is the level of development skill and the ability that gives you to pivot and to say, oh, we need to launch this token, incorporate it. We use Ham token to create a node, and then it burns the Ham token below peg, etc. Well, just whatever it is, you guys are able to brainstorm and create new solutions, and that's very strong. A lot of people got Fiverr devs. A lot of people, have the ability to copy and paste a contract and maybe build a website, and that's it. So it's really refreshing to see a high level of development skill coming into this space. I don't know what to expect in the long term, because we haven't seen these things do well in the long term, except for very few scenarios. So I just want to say I'm bullish, and I think it's very cool what you guys are doing, and happy to have you here.
What are going to be the limits on the gen pools? Or if you want to go on Tulip's questions or what he said.
Yeah, no,
go ahead.
We're going to have a limits. Just basically the gen pools are going to have a limit of I think it's 1,000 phantom. We just we changed the contracts so that you could specify those values of the deploy, again, to stay nimble, and so we're able to actually decide on the limits depending on the interest that we have. So proportionately, each contribution ends up not being too heavy. So at the moment we are thinking 1,000 phantom or its equivalent, but we expressed for each partner farm, it's expressed in the partner tokens. So we could say that many bloom tokens, that many slurp tokens can be deposited in the fork, you know.
Okay, awesome.
Awesome. We have gone through most of the tough questions. If anybody else on the panel here has any questions, please.
Do they have the same multipliers, all the gen pools? That's maybe interesting to know as well.
Multipliers,
Like
no.
allocations of ham to the pools. Do you any idea yet?
Yes, we have allocations because all in we want to distribute 11,000 tokens. So that's 2,000 tokens for each of the partners and 2.5 for Phantom because they're taxed. 2.5 for Phantom and USDC.
And we had one person ask who the partners are, and I have no issues disclosing that TulipDAO, it has a private allocation, as well as if Hamster, can I share the other?
Yeah, we have some at the moment. We just gathered up some private investors. At the moment, we filled in with them about 10,000. I'm not sure whether Slurp is going to have an allocation as well, and there are some known people from Phantom who don't want to disclose, but they just run major projects as well.
Right, and everybody has tentatively agreed to the agreement of not selling until above 7x peg.
Yes. That's the agreement. Again, it's all based on trust, but I think
or 7x liquidity. I'm sorry.
7x liquidity. Yes, not the price. 7x liquidity from the after the private round, which is limited. We actually are limited by 50,000 FTM, and it's pretty much filled right now.
That's all filled at 50k FTM.
Yeah, almost. Yeah.
How much is going to the whitelist in Discord?
Well, I think it's we have a limitation of 150 FTM per address on the whitelist, and it's fully filled. So I think it's 40 or 50.
Did you have some whitelists for the AMA? I thought that we had some.
Yeah, I think we do. I think our community manager will give you how many lists they have. I just was so busy with the development lately. I do apologize, but the community manager will provide the whitelist for the AMA.
Okay, I mean, if we could get 5 or 10 and we could do some giveaways, that'd be pretty cool.
Sure.
Cool. And we're getting to the end here, so I just wanted to make sure.
One more question we have is about the sustainability of the P2E mechanics. Like most of these games tend to have 1, 2, 3 week time frames. So someone was asking how you're planning to make that aspect sustainable. Is it going to go beyond that lifespan, you think?
Play to earn. Yeah, I think it's going to go beyond that because Wizards and Dragons, they've been going for a while. It's the same kind of game. It's just different NFTs.
Sure. I mean, there's usually like a time stop to it. I'm sure they're still going, but like when the mints end, that's a lot of time when the games die. So like once the mints end, is there like something? I don't know. I'm not in Wizards and Dragons, so I don't know what's making that stay sustainable. Are they done with their mints and still printing for people, or how's that going?
There is a staking gem token, the rewards, and there is also a second act that will be developed, and the PvP play as well, where you could actually play against different NFTs, play against one another. So no, it's a whole strategy after that. So it's more than just one phase. There will be a second phase, a third phase, and so on. So the game is in active development right now.
Okay, very cool. Thanks.
Yeah, the last thing I was going to kind of touch on was the difficulty we've seen these games have in the long term. Once again, I would expect you guys to be able to maybe come up with something that could help sustain the protocol past the second or third phase. Do you guys have anything baked in that, or any ideas that you're already kind of bouncing around talking about those later phases?
Well, we don't have any concrete ideas, but we think We think that we just need to see how popular are the games, and we could modify the second and the third stages depending how the first one goes. And beyond that, we will just, again, we need to see how the second stage goes, and then we could attach some financial functionality to the NFTs and bonds.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I'd love to see some sort of NFT staking to earn some token, maybe outside of the game, that you could utilize things. I see a lot of possibilities, man. We could, if you're ever open to it, if you guys are ever brainstorming, feel free to, jump in here or give us a call. And
Yeah.
you
could even start doing boardrooms or temples where you stake NFTs. When it's above peg, it starts printing and all that. I see a lot of options here as well for you guys, to be honest.
The sky is the limit, because we have a capable team.
Yes, I think that's the thing, is there's so many possibilities, and with the development skills you guys have, it's like an exciting thing because you can actually bring it to life. A lot of people, they want to talk about these ideas, and we talk about building and stuff, and it's like, oh, I don't know, we got to get a dev, or we got to get this or that. It's kind of refreshing to be able to bounce ideas and be like, yeah, we can do that. We'll test it right now. Like, let's fucking go. Let's go. Awesome, man. I'm bullish. I think that you guys have a bright future, and I think that your development team, whether this is the project that is your long-term project or not, will be able to get a solid footing in FTM, build a community, and get ready for the next venture, whatever that might be. And if you handle it well, stay transparent, ride this project out, and protect your investors, the sky's the limit.
Well, that's exactly what we intend to do, because we are, we are technologists, so we actually prefer that, doing it this way.
Yeah, I think that shows, and it's a big part of this, and that guarantee you, everybody who's listening right now has gained trust and will be, trying to get funds to ape into this. Yeah, super excited. I think that sums up most questions. I got one more, I think, from the community. Do the whitelists have earlier Genesis pools, or is this just getting the tokens at 1-to-1?
No, just getting the tokens at 1-to-1 LPs.
Okay. And one more time, what is the total per whitelist slot? You said 150 FTM, or is it
150 FTM per address?
Okay. Cool. How important do you think that the size of a community is to the success of your project? And I'll touch on that when you're done.
I think it's very important. The growth of the community, more importantly, a steady growth of the community is instrumental. Getting community feedback and developing around the community needs, that will bring success, in my opinion. And being able to listen and to have a diverse community and making that could make clever suggestions and being able to tell us something that would actually benefit the whole protocol and the ecosystem that we're building, I think it's priceless.
I would agree. I think the important thing is not having a huge community at launch for a tomb fork, but it's even better to have a slow start. It allows your early believers and the people who see what you're trying to do before everybody else to actually get a foothold in the protocol, help keep it healthy, and help have a larger share of the protocol, that they're going to do the right thing, as opposed to some random degen who's find the project and just farm and dump and try to get out. That's a big difference. And I think the starting small is going to be good for your community, and then let the organic growth happen. Let people see the honesty and the transparency and the level of development skills, and they will come pouring in, just like we've seen them do to many different projects on Phantom. So you guys are doing just fine. Just watch. You don't believe me? Just watch.
Thanks, man.
Of course. Okay.
Where are you gonna do a KYC?
Well, we need to deploy the code, and after this, a file for KYC. So that's the sequence.
with the TulipDAO.
Well, actually, I was thinking,
We're off.
are you offering? Yeah, we could do it. We could do that as well.
Well, I'm offer. We're starting to offer next level KYCs for projects who really want to get some credibility, and it's going to involve everybody who touches the money, KYCing with identification, 2 different types, and a brief interview. So if you guys are game, I'm trying to set a precedent for projects who want to set a different standard, because Assure DeFi and protocols like RugDoc don't do what they're supposed to do when it comes to KYCs.
Sure. No, I don't mind. Absolutely.
Awesome. That would be great. We give you a discount, man. Give you a half price discount.
Lovely. Thank you.
Of course. You guys have been good to us. You guys have been, very, very open to these chats and stuff that we've been having. I think it's really good, and I have no problem, especially since we have one online that's scheduled currently, and then you would be our second. So I'm kind of offering a discounted price in the beginning until we get some done. So
okay, that's a deal.
Appreciate it, man. All right. Doctor, if you have to go, man, I think that we have ran through all of our questions, and I think all the tough stuff has been asked, and I'm still just as bullish as I was before. So I think everybody here feels the same way, man. Thank you for coming by. I really appreciate it, and hopefully we can chat in the future about maybe working together on something.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. And actually, I'll be in touch tomorrow because I want to present what I'm thinking, the launch sequence are going to be, so we avoid all the problems that you've outlined.
Excellent. Sounds great,
Awesome.
man.
All right.
Everybody, please stick around. Everybody stick around. We're going to do analysis and strategy segment and community panel in just a few minutes here.
All right. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Dr. Hamster, thank you for coming by. This has been our 10th Investors AMA with the Hamsters of the Opera coming to Phantom. Kabow!